Hey, what's good, fam? It's Kyle Henderson of BAMAinsider.com. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I appreciate you guys being here. We got Alabama and Kentucky. We got college football this weekend. I'm very excited to take your calls tonight. Call in line at the bottom of the screen. The call in line number is 205-850-0883. My name is Kyle Henderson of BAMAinsider.com. Remember, you can listen to this also on podcast. So wherever you get your podcasts, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you got it. Go listen to our podcast as well. Mick Gillespie does a great job with our podcast, so definitely subscribe, and we appreciate it. Just got out of Nick Saban's press conference. I just uploaded it to Bama Insider. I think it was the fastest press conference that I've ever been around. It was only 4 minutes and 43 seconds. I mean, it was a pretty quick press conference. Nick Saban opened up talking about the mindset and really getting into that mindset after almost being off for 3 weeks. I think it'll be 3 weeks on Saturday. And I think it's kind of the same for us, right? As college football fans, we were in a rhythm. Alabama was rolling 6-0 on the season, putting up some remarkable numbers on both sides of the football, coming off that big goose egg victory over Mississippi State. And it's kind of like things fell off kilter. I think it's kind of what's been happening this year. And it's about maintaining the right psychological disposition about moving forward in a year that's been topsy-turvy, I think, for everybody. So let me know where you guys are coming from inside the comment box. And like Jackie White says right here on our comment box, hit the thumbs up. It really helps our channel grow. Our channel's been doing a fantastic job. And I'm talking about our personalities. I'm talking about Mick Gillespie. He's been doing great. Tony Stukalis, our team writer, he did a fantastic job on Monday night. And, of course, Andrew Bono on Tuesday night. So, I want to take your calls tonight. I want to kick the ball back and forth. I want to get your take on this Alabama Crimson Tide football team. And I think kind of the question for everybody, and I'll pose this to you, who out there can really challenge the Alabama Crimson Tide? Do you feel it's still Clemson? Do you feel it could be Notre Dame there at the end? And I know this is all rat poison because these are all hypothetical games that might not even take place depending on how the season does shake out. Or is it a team like Florida? Everybody's seen Florida. I've seen Florida. We talked about them Monday night on Monday Night Quarterback right here on Bama Insider. Florida is a very dangerous team. Kyle Trask, fantastic quarterback. 28 touchdowns in 6 games. That's definitely noteworthy. Absolutely right. So the call-in line number is open, 205-850-0883. I'll take your calls. We got John behind the glass, so he's going to take your calls, and then he'll pipe you in, and I'll get you on the show right here on BamaInsider.com. I think we should have some practice footage coming in pretty soon, but we did have some practice footage yesterday that I wasn't able to bring you because the practice footage, quite simply, was so quick. So here's practice footage from, this would be Tuesday, November 17th, and I'll do the voiceover over the practice footage. And remember, call line is open, 205-850-0883. Please hit the thumbs up, fam. Here's practice footage from Tuesday.
Same time. All right, so both of y'all zone to your left. Down here, back up a little bit, man. Feel your 4.5. There you go. Red 9. Red 9 said go. So down here. Oh, good. That's it right there. Perfect.
Actually, let me quiet this down a little bit. So what you're seeing right here, this is actually, this is Christian Harris. This is a sophomore linebacker at Alabama. I think he's been doing a fantastic job. It's only his second year of play. I mean, this is a guy who didn't even play linebacker at the high school level. And now you look at him as an inside linebacker right now, starting for the University of Alabama. Second consecutive season, we've seen him get such, an incredible amount of PT. There's a guy from Baton Rouge. Here's another guy, Ali Cajo, number 10. When are we going to get to see Ali Cajo really step onto the field? I think a lot of people have been anxiously awaiting to see what he can do for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Here's William Anderson, and the guy that's played a tremendous amount as a freshman. And here's a guy right here that has not played as a senior. All right, this has been one of the most interesting storylines to follow has been Ben Davis. Came out as a highly rated and highly decorated high school athlete out of Gordo, Alabama, but just hasn't seen the field. Another senior right here. This is Joshua McMillan. Those two guys, the vets on this defense, but it's not the vets that have been playing at the inside linebacker position. As you know, this is Patrick Surtain. He's a corner at Alabama, one of the top cover corners in the entire country. I think when you look at mock drafts, this is a guy who continues to climb, continues to be in that, top 15, top 20 guys that is going to be taken off the board. Good footage right here of Slade Bolden. a guy that we saw some sprinkles of, right? Slade Bolden, I know is a fan favorite, came out is, get back to that footage of Slade Bolden. One of the top players in high school out of the state of Louisiana, played quarterback. I believe he was the Gatorade Player of the Year. A guy that can be that slot position player. I know a lot of people want to see Javon Baker get his, right? These are the tight ends. You have Carl Tucker, number 86, and these are the big boys right here getting it. Damian George, number 74, and I believe that was Cameron Latou. Yeah, that was Cameron Latou, number 81. Offensive line has been doing a fantastic job, and I think kind of going back to what Nick Saban says, it's all about keeping that rhythm. Here's Evan Neal right there, and I think that speaks for everybody in college football. Call line is open, bottom of the screen. And it's about really staying on cue. And I think it's, staying on focus. And I think this team has that ability. And I think what I was saying about Notre Dame, I was saying who could beat Alabama, if those two teams are to play down the stretch. You look at a team like Notre Dame, you look at a team like Clemson. I think, just because those teams are undefeated right now on the top of the rankings, call line is open. 205-850-0883 is the call line number. I appreciate you guys joining us tonight. We also talked about the Heisman odds just recently right here on BAMAinsider.com. And the Heisman odds as of late, you have Mac Jones at the top left of your screen, and what he's done through 6 games, I think has been pretty remarkable. 139 of 177, 2,100 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 78.5% passing wise. I mean, those numbers have just been astronomical for a guy who has certainly deserved it, a guy that has certainly done such a fantastic job with his craft, improving year by year. I mean, think about this. He came in, had to sit behind Jalen Hurts, had to sit behind Tua Tagovailoa, and he has done a fantastic job. You got Kyle Trask. He's played in 6 games. And as I talked about earlier in the show, 28 touchdowns. It's been pretty incredible, to see what he's done in just 6 games, right? 28 touchdowns. All these guys have odds of 5-2 to win the Heisman Trophy. You got Trevor Lawrence. He's only played in 6 games as well. 1,800 yards, 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And it's a quarterback award. We get that. Justin Fields. He's only played in 3 games, though. But his number is ridiculous. 72 of 83, 900 yards, 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 87% passing rating of 222.4. All right. What's up, guys? Appreciate it. What's up, Sean? Call in, Sean. Be eager to talk to you. Thanks, everybody, for joining me right here on BAMAinsider.com. Wednesday nights, we do team, right? We do team, and it's, Alabama is a 31-point favorite over Kentucky. Here is, let's see if I can get Nick Saban from tonight. I just added it, but here's Nick Saban from his 4-minute and 43-second press conference on Wednesday. Call line is open. 205-850-0883 is a call line number. Actually, I don't even think I could get Saban right there. All right. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Appreciate it. And we also got the NBA draft, so definitely check it out. You got Kyra Lewis, and we'll see where he goes tonight. So we got coverage right there on BAMAinsider.com, and we'll see what happens to Kyra. I mean, a lot of people are excited about Alabama basketball. I want to see what Nate Oates can do. I think Nate Oates is got just what the people are looking for. I think I got playoff chances right here. Yeah, these are some playoff chances. This is by ESPN, and we talked about this a little bit. Call line is open. Call line at the bottom of the screen. Appreciate it. 205-850-0883. That's the call line number. And see if I can get these playoff chances right here. Alabama, 89%. Ohio State, 61%. Wisconsin, 55%. Notre Dame, 49%. Clemson, 43%. I think when you look at Alabama, kind of the back end of their schedule, they have a great opportunity to run the table. 31-point favorite against Kentucky. They have Arkansas on the schedule. They have Auburn. Right? I know that's a kind of the back end that everybody wants to see is that Alabama and Auburn game, because it's a redemption game, right? And I think we're close to getting our first caller of the night. So we appreciate the call coming in. Kyle Henderson of BAMAinsider.com. Thanks for joining us tonight. Kind of off to a slow start on the calls, but hopefully the calls will pick up and we'll continue with the show right here on BAMAinsider.com. Definitely hit the thumbs up. We appreciate it. And the subscribe button. Remember, you can catch this on podcasts as well, wherever you get your podcasts. We also got a deal right now going on where you can sign up to BAMAinsider.com and get $75 in Nike gear. So you get BAMAinsider.com for $75, and then you also get $75 gift code to Nike.com. So definitely check that out. Everything on BAMAinsider.com. All right. What about Bama and LSU? I mean, I think we talked about this before. There was kind of, some rumblings that game could take place, that it might take place. I think Nick Saban even said today that, he's kind of skeptical if the game will take place or not. We're not sure. So we're going to keep you posted. I heard that it was going to take place, and I heard it's not going to take place. So it's kind of been all over the place. I think we got our first caller, and we got Sean from Huntsville. Sean, what's up, man?
Hey, Kyle, how you doing, man? What you been up to?
Man, you know what? I just been, trying to keep it positive in a year of uncertainty. I think 2020 has been kind of suffocating for everybody at times. Myself included. Sometimes it's just like, my goodness, all these college football playoff games that have been postponed, but it's much deeper than that, and I feel for the people that have gone through tough times, because I think as people, we all go through tough times, and 2020 has been a year where it's been a tough time for a long time, but I'm happy to talk to you. You always provide such great context on the show, man. So you're on the line, man. Take it away.
Yeah, I do understand, man. It's been real crazy right now, and it seems like in some places around the state it's picking back up. So I'm just praying for everybody, man, and hope everybody be safe and do what you got to do to keep everybody safe and your family safe. But for me, man, I wanted to call in real quick and give you 1 or 2 points about what I thought about the LSU game. I had talked to the young man on the other show, and just in a quick nutshell, I was telling him that the fan in me want the LSU game. The fan in me every time I watch that clip of Coach O, I want to play them like this week. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the coaching side, for me, man, if we don't get to play it, you know what, Kyle, I'm not bothered by it, man, because I see the bigger picture. For me, man, I want to get through this season healthy. I want to play these last 3, 4, whatever it gives games. I want to get through these games and get on to the college football playoff, man. If we don't get a chance to double back and play LSU, at this point, the bigger picture for me is the national championship, man. Getting to the SEC championship, playing whoever we got to play, taking care of business, and going on into the playoff, because I see what's lining up right now with the media and who they're trying to promote. I want all the fans, like I said last time, to understand that when you look around the conferences, Ohio State, with all due respect, they're setting it up right now to get these guys in the playoff. And, they're a great team. I'm not taking anything from Ohio State as a team. But I feel some kind of way, man. I feel some kind of way when I watch Georgia, as talented as they are, when I watch Alabama, when I watch Texas A&M, Florida. We have multiple teams in this conference that could play with those guys, believe it or not. And these guys end up playing Rutgers, they end up playing Penn State, they end up playing Nebraska, they end up playing all these teams with a combined, as of last weekend, 2 wins between all 3 teams. And they just the greatest thing since sliced bread. I just don't understand that, man. I don't understand how you give them more love than Texas A&M. I don't understand how you give them more love than Florida. I just don't right now. But I do understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to it's just going to come down to a mess, man. Because think about it this way. Think about if Clemson end up beating Notre Dame and Notre Dame end up just having 1 loss. You got a 1-loss Notre Dame team that lost to Clemson. You got a 1-loss Texas A&M team that they winned out. I don't know what they're going to do, man. It's going to be real crazy. I even seen some polls with the prognosticators that had Cincinnati over Texas A&M. So it's just real crazy right now. We just got to take care of our business, man. The LSU game is really important to me, but it's a bigger picture. As a coach, I want to get my players through this season. I want to get to the SEC championship. I want to get to the national championship. And I promise you that national championship will make us forget about LSU for one year. I can assure all the fans this. I got a lot of frat brothers and stuff went to school with me. The guys at LSU know what it is. They know this year. They know what was coming. We don't even have to say on air what was coming. They knew what was coming, man. They knew Bama was coming in there with a purpose. You know what I mean? I don't mind teams being hype and ecstatic after winning after almost a decade. I don't mind you showing your love, but to go in the center of the field and call your team and be disrespectful like that, nah, man, that deserves a reckoning. That deserves a reckoning, man. So I'm upset as a fan that we won't get to give it to him, possibly. But as a coach, I'd rather move on, play the teams we got to play, take care of our business, and get the bigger ring. I just want to know what you thought about that.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, between Alabama and LSU. And by the way, thank you very much, Sean. I really appreciate that you're calling in. I always enjoy our dialogue, man. You've been one of my favorite callers for a long time now. So I just want to say thank you to you. It's always good just to talk some college football with you. I think when you look at Alabama and LSU, there's a couple things. I was like, yeah, they should play because of the redemption factor. And when I was hearing that they should play, I was a little bit excited because I knew that Alabama has something in store for them, right? Not from like a fansy perspective. I just think that the time is due in Alabama, going down to Baton Rouge. That's one of my favorite games just to watch as a college football fan, as a person, just from the outside. It's always been. But I think you make some great points. Right. If this game doesn't take place, then Alabama, theoretically, if they can run the table, then they have an extra week to prepare for the SEC championship, which I think is very important. Exactly. And I think something that Nick Saban would absolutely want, right? If you get 2 weeks to prepare for Florida, let's say, and get healthy, be healthy, stay healthy going into this season where there's been, any injuries could happen at any particular time. But if you have time to rest and most importantly, prepare for what's coming your way, and that Florida offense looks fantastic. What's kind of your thoughts on that Florida offense? Because I showed the stats just before. I mean, Kyle Trask putting up some ridiculous numbers. I mean, do you feel that this is a team that can run with Alabama just because of their high potent offense?
I do, man. I do feel like Florida right now, they're getting the ball out to numerous receivers. They're running a lot of high-low routes, which give us a lot of problems. It's Ole Miss on steroids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't really run the ball that well. They really hadn't had to. They spread you out greatly. They get the ball. It's kind of like New England Patriots. They get the ball to the underneath receivers and turn those into big plays. They run play action and try to go over top of you. And the thing that makes those guys so dangerous is their offensive line is playing very well right now, and Kyle Trask get the ball out quick. Very similar to Matt Jones, and they will try to go deep on you. The defense is not quite stellar right now, but they really hadn't had to be. I think Texas A&M kind of showed you the blueprint of how to beat them, getting pressure from different points of the field, getting pressure from the inside, getting pressure from the outside, playing press, making Kyle Trask make a decision, disguising some things. It's a way to beat them. The Texas A&M had a very, very, very good plan, but their offense is playing exceptionally well right now. I give them all the credit in the world, but I think Bama will still beat them. I think our running game kind of will control the tempo of the game. I think we're a lot more physical than them in the trenches. I think that'll be a good game for us, but I do think we would definitely welcome that extra week.
On with Sean from Huntsville. Appreciate it. Call line is open, 205-850-0883. I actually just let it run with Sean because he's always one of our top callers. Hey, Sean, as we kind of look at the college football spectrum, what's your take on Notre Dame? I mean, I watched Notre Dame play just recently. Credit to them for doing such a great job this year. They're undefeated. They beat Clemson head-to-head. I'm not that sold on them. I think they're missing a couple components. I think their offense was they were good. They weren't elite. The other defense, they were okay. They weren't elite. What's kind of your take on the Fighting Irish?
You know what, Kyle? I'll say this. I hate to take wins from teams. I know how hard it is to win. They did beat Clemson without Trevor Lawrence, which I consider possibly one of the best players, if not the best player in college football. DJ Ungalele, he threw for 400, but it was a different type 400 when your starter's not in there. Now, those guys still have to play North Carolina. North Carolina is not a juggernaut by any stretch, but I think that'll be a good test for Notre Dame. I'm kind of like you. I'm not quite sold on those guys. I don't want to take anything from them because they did beat Clemson. I think the problem is going to come into effect if Trevor comes back as he is already, and those guys make it, and then Clemson beat them. I think if Clemson go out and dump truck them, I think Notre Dame may possibly fall beneath Texas A&M. But if they go out and battle with Clemson, even if Clemson win the game, I think that's going to cause a problem because they beat them before. So I'm not quite sold on those guys like you. I see a lot of deficiencies in their team. I see a lot of deficiencies in their scheme. I see a lot of deficiencies in their quarterback. And I'm not sure if he could play like that again. But they did beat them. You know, I give them the credit for winning that game. But I don't think, as of right now, if Notre Dame play Florida tomorrow or Saturday, I don't think they beat Florida. I just don't. I don't think they beat Florida. I don't think they're physical enough on the defensive side of the ball. I think they play way too much zone. I think Florida would pick them apart. I think Florida would score at least 40 points on those guys, man.
That's kind of what I was thinking as well. And that was the same thing almost that I said to one of my buddies. I was like, look, there's no way. I think Notre Dame is a really good team, but I just don't think that they match up schematically wise with the Florida, with the Alabama, a team that can really take it to them over the top. And like you said, you know, missing Trevor Lawrence, I mean, I think he's absolutely the best player in college football. So when you don't have him, that's certainly going to be an added element that you didn't have in that particular game. Before we let you go, Sean, and move to our next caller, Alabama and Kentucky, the game everybody's, waiting to see just because it's the next college football game for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama favored by 31 in that game. Look, I listened to Mark Stoops, and I like the way that he coaches. I know that he's dealing with the recent loss, which must be very difficult for him as a person, just because he loses a coach who is a coach and a friend. This team has been kind of up and down throughout the season. They like to run the football, kind of take the air out of the game. What's your take on Alabama and Kentucky?
I think the thing for us is we got to get in there. It's exactly what you just said. You couldn't have been more right. I think Alabama has to score quickly. If we can score quickly, as we usually do, I think it'll pull them out of their game plan. I think we'll probably beat those guys somewhere around 41-10, 41-17. Yeah. I think Coach Saban has a great respect for the Stoops family, so I don't see him pressing the gas on those guys. We'll get up and they'll run the ball and do things like that, but we definitely don't want to let them hang around and catch any courage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Before you let me go, I want to say I appreciate you as well, Kyle. You guys do an outstanding job. I know me and some of the guys, they were talking a lot about BAMA shows, man. We got a lot of great respect for what you guys do, man. And you continue it, and we're going to continue to support you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sean. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a good rest of your week, and we'll talk to you on the call-in show.
Okay, man. You too.
All right, man. Take it easy. All right. That was our good buddy, Sean from Huntsville. One of my favorite callers, always speaking the facts. So it's always good to lead out with Sean because he always, is speaking the facts. I wanted to actually, so call line number is at the bottom of the screen, 205-850-0883. When you call in, you'll get our producer, John, and then he'll patch you through, and I'll take your calls right here on BamaInsider.com. If you guys could please hit the thumbs up, I'd greatly appreciate it. Any super chats also, I certainly welcome those. We've been able to grow the channel a great deal, and it's all because of you guys. So I really appreciate that you guys are watching today from wherever you guys are. I wanted to refreshen kind of the stats, kind of, to paint the picture of where Alabama stands after 6 games. I know I've talked about the stats several times, and kind of when you look at everything, let's kind of just do a quick rewind while we wait for our next caller. And again, when you call into the line, call line is at the bottom of the screen, 205-850-0883. You'll be introduced to our host, and then he'll, our producer rather, John, and then he'll patch you through. So kind of just a quick rewind. Alabama beat Missouri, as you remember, 38-19. Then they took on Texas A&M 52-24. And that game has been, a game that we're all going to look back on because Texas A&M now number 5 in the latest college football rankings. You got Ole Miss and Alabama, and Ole Miss had the shootout 63-48. Then Alabama beat Georgia at Bryant-Denny Stadium 41-24. Then Alabama went on the road to Knoxville, Tennessee, and beat the Volunteers 48-17. And in their last game on October 31st, they beat Mississippi State 41-0 against Mike Leach. As we kind of look at some of the stats, I know I talked about Mac Jones a little bit, but I wanted to also highlight, this running back group. And I'm curious to see if we do see Jace McClellan. He's a freshman that a lot of people have been talking about, but Alabama has 2 additional freshmen that we should also keep tabs on, Roydell Williams and Kyle Edwards. Both of those guys could see an opportunity as we push forward. Of course, that's all, kind of hypothetical because we have to see if Alabama is able to put Kentucky away, is able to put Auburn and Arkansas, and hopefully at some point, we'll be able to, see some of these younger freshmen. Najee Harris right now, 718 yards on the season. Actually, his net gain is 714 yards, 14 touchdowns. It's been pretty remarkable to see what he's done throughout the season. I have so much respect for Najee Harris. I think when we kind of look back during the summertime, he had his campaign, and what he's been able to do, I think, speaks volumes about just the quality of a player he is. And the greatest thing about Najee Harris is he's been durable throughout his 4 seasons at Alabama. He's been a player that has been dependable, a player that has came in as a 5-star, worked not like a 5-star, that he came in as a 5-star. You get what I'm saying? Like he worked as he had to earn every single thing. And now look, he's one of the top running backs in all of college football, a guy that I think will be considered, one of the top picks in the NFL draft from the running back perspective. The guy brings it every single time. He's built for Sundays, right? And we know that Alabama produces, all these guys from Alabama to the NFL. It's pretty amazing how dominant they've been. And we got our next caller. We got Cam, my good buddy Cam from Brunswick, GA. Cam, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Kyle? How you doing, man?
Hey, it's good to talk to you, man. I was just telling everybody about Najee Harris and kind of the campaign that he's had. And you saw Damian Harris, you've seen Derrick Henry. I mean, it's like, the NFL is built by Alabama. But before you ask me something, before we have some dialogue, what are your thoughts on Najee Harris this season? Because what he's done, in my opinion, has been absolutely fantastic.
Well, listen, man, Najee Harris, he's a beast. And if you look at Alabama, you don't think about them running the ball. I mean, they have absolutely destroyed everybody through the air. I mean, Mac Jones is a Heisman Trophy contender, and we're sitting here talking about, their running back, Najee Harris. He's leading in rushing second in the SEC. I mean, I don't know how much better of a running back you can have.
Yeah, I mean, he's been fantastic. And I know a lot of people are excited about some of these freshmen that could potentially get onto the field with Trey Sanders now being out. I guess we'll have to wait and see if they do get opportunities. Hopefully they do. I mean, I've been wanting to see some of these freshmen for a while now, just because we haven't seen that many freshmen play this season, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But now you're on the show, man. So I appreciate you calling in, man. What do you want to talk about? It's your show.
Yeah,
Take
man.
it. Yeah.
Hey, man. It's kind of ironic, Najee Harris, with some people, he's in the Heisman Trophy conversation. And to have a quarterback and a running back that's in the Heisman Trophy conversation, man, that is just amazing. And, Florida doesn't have that. Let's just be honest. I mean, they got Kyle Trask, a couple good receivers, but that offensive line doesn't dominate like Alabama. But basically, that's what I wanted to talk about was, who's going to give Alabama the most challenge for as a football game? And, right now, probably beat Clemson, I would say, only because Dabo Swinney kind of has Nick Saban's card. He's beaten Nick Saban before. But before I get to there, I kind of want to talk about Florida, because it looks like we're about to head into Florida, here in a few weeks. And, Alabama, when they play Florida, the last few times they dominated, and I really don't see that changing. We were talking about Mac Jones and Najee Harris, 2 Heisman Trophy contenders, and then you look at Deontay Smith. He's right there at the top of the SEC in receiving, and it's kind of crazy, but he still, to me, doesn't get enough credit. We're talking a lot about Mac Jones and Najee Harris, but Devontae Smith, man, he's just as much a big a part of that offense as they are, And man, Alabama, when they play Florida, I just think they're going to control the time of possession, and they're going to put some pressure on the run game against Florida, and they're going to make that defense. They're going to wear that defense out. Alabama's offensive line, they're going to run up and down the field on Florida. And I don't think Florida's going to be able to stop that, especially with the play action run game that Alabama does with Najee Harris. I mean, you give the ball to Najee Harris, the whole defense swarms to him, and then you run a jet sweep with Devontae Smith. I mean, come on, man, that's just mind blowing, and you don't even know who has the ball, And then you look at defense. Alabama's had 7 interceptions this year. 4 of those have been pick sixes. Mm-hmm. Look at Florida. They've had 4 INTs, 0 pick sixes. And I think defense, man, as much as we're sitting here talking about offense, the Alabama defense is really going to play a key role in that game against Florida.
I think, and by the way, we're on with Cam from Georgia. Appreciate you calling in. Call line numbers at the bottom of the screen, 205-850-0883 is the number to call in. Got John behind the glass taking your calls. I think I want to see what this defense does next, because we saw them against Mississippi State 41-0, and then we've had almost 3 weeks without seeing, where this defense is now. They have another opportunity going against Kentucky, a team that loves to run the football. Alabama, coming in as a 31-point favorite. You got to think that this defense kind of thrives off that and continues that. But, did they lose any of the momentum? We'll have to see on Saturday. And I think kind of by watching the pulse of everybody going into this week, I think everybody feels that Alabama is just going to run into this game, run over Kentucky. And that's kind of why you see the low pulse, the low excitement. Maybe that's it. And just like Nick Saban was saying, you got to get back into that college football rhythm. I think we were rolling, Cam. We had a lot of momentum. We were going, and, that LSU game was coming. And then it just kind of, it swept us. So we got to get back into that. I want to see what Alabama's offense and defense can do. But just like you said, the defense seems to have found their rhythm and kind of where they're going. And I think kind of getting to your point about Florida, they can certainly air out the football. They can go over the top, but do they have a running game? Can their running game, what type of running game is this? I don't think we've seen too much from the Florida ground game, but they do have a great offensive line. And, I can't wait to see some of that matchup. And just like you said, Dan Mullen has done a great job with that team. But the next opponent is Kentucky. Anything you're kind of watching to see this weekend between Alabama and Kentucky, Ken?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm ready. Alabama's offense, they've done pretty good this year. We know that Mark Stoops, he's going to prepare for Alabama. He's going to challenge Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is going to answer. I want to see that. I know Kentucky's going to have a good scheme, and we know Mark Stoops. He's always he's ready to play. He's got his team ready to play. They usually don't have the best players, the recruits. We know that, but sometimes he can challenge an offense. Now, Kentucky on the offensive side, they haven't really been good. They haven't impressed me at all, really, the last few years. They've had a couple of guys, but overall, their offense struggles really bad. And playing against an Alabama defense that's kind of turned it up a notch, I'm looking for a shutout, maybe Kentucky field goal, maybe. But I think Alabama gets another shutout here this Saturday, Kyle.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Cam. I appreciate you calling in. We look forward to catching up with you during our post-game show following Alabama and Kentucky. Thank you very much for joining our show, Cam, and have a strong rest of your week.
God bless you. Roll
All right.
back.
Thank you so much. God bless you too. Thanks. That's Cam from Brunswick, GA. Appreciate you calling in. Calling line is open. It's at the bottom of the screen. 205-850-0883. That's the calling line number. Appreciate you guys calling in and catching up with me tonight on BAMAinsider.com. We got some more coverage coming your way. We got Andrew Bone and Mick Gillespie tomorrow night. That'll be a special show with Andrew Bone. We're looking to go from high school to college to the pros with Andrew Bone. And, nobody does it bigger and better than Andrew Bone on the recruiting front. We're almost closer. We're inching closer to National Signing Day and to see if Alabama will continue to be the top college football program in the country. That's going to be really exciting to see. I know they're right there with Ohio State. We talked about recruiting last night, and we do every single Tuesday right here on BAMAinsider.com. Please remember that you can also catch this show via podcast. So if you're getting ready in the morning, or if you're on your work drive or whatever, Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you get your podcasts, and we appreciate that. So call line number is open, 205-850-0883. We got John behind the glass taking your calls. And I was actually going to play Saban, but I couldn't get that clip for you guys. And I was waiting for some more footage from the University of Alabama to kind of pipe in your way. But I think when you look at this Alabama, Kentucky, and I'll bring on those stats in just a second as we continue to kind of look at Alabama after a little hiatus of the team, that we haven't seen them in almost 3 weeks now. Kind of looking at the stats. And I think going into this weekend, I have a couple of questions that I want to see answered. And I think, just as I was talking with Cam, I think kind of from that defensive side of the ball, can they continue that momentum? And I think they're going to. I think when you look at this defense, let me get to the defensive stats for you guys. Here we go. This defense took a lot of criticism during the beginning part of the season. And I think people still have this defense under a microscope. As you can see, Dylan Moses leads the team in tackles with 50 tackles. That is through 6 games, obviously. Christian Harris, who we got to hear from during our media interview on Tuesday, I believe, he has 38 tackles. Both those guys from Baton Rouge. That's why, and Chris Allen, also from Baton Rouge. That's why I was really excited for that LSU game to take place. It's not looking good now. I had heard that the game was going to take place, but it seems like it's lost some momentum, which, like I said to Sean, it doesn't seem like a bad thing. How about the play of Malachi Moore? Malachi Moore has been fantastic. 28 total tackles, throughout these first 6 games. I mean, that's been pretty impressive to see what he's been able to do as just a true freshman at Alabama. And Daniel Wright is a guy that we've seen, it's, at times I felt like he's been vulnerable. Other times it came up and he's been a ball hawk. I mean, you look at how many interceptions he's had on the season. He's had 2 interceptions. Malachi Moore has had 2 interceptions. And you have Patrick Surtain, who's also had an interception. That's 5 interceptions between that trio right there. So I think Alabama's defense, everybody's kind of always going to have them under a microscope, I think under Pete Golding, right? But I think they have opportunities going down the stretch that they can prove that they have improved and that they're not the weak spot in this team. Because I think everybody knows, as we've looked at the offensive stats, and we'll go up and look at those offensive stats a little bit more in depth, the offense has been fantastic. I also want to see, let's say, just hypothetically, if Alabama is able to jump up on Kentucky, are we going to see Bryce Young get a little bit more playing time? Because I think when you look at Bryce Young, we'll kind of zoom in right here, we just haven't seen that large of a sample size. And I know a lot of people out there want to see Bryce Young and to see what he couldn't do. I mean, he's a 5-star, came in very, highly rated. I think he's the number 1 dual threat in the entire country. But we've only had opportunities to see him pass the football 15 times. I think when we look at that game against Tennessee, and I've said this time and time again, I felt like that is the Bryce Young that we are going to get when we get a larger sample size, right? 3 of 5, 60%, 30 yards. Should have had that touchdown. It was dropped by Slade Bolden. But there was times where he made 2 throws. I think one was to the outside right to John Mechie. One was across the middle of the field to John Mechie. And those were balls that I felt were big-time throws from a quarterback at the college level. So I think we need to see more of a sample size from Bryce Young overall, but I think he's going to be just fine when he gets his opportunity. And I know a lot of people also want to see Paul Tyson. Paul Tyson's another freshman at Alabama that hasn't had, any opportunities, to be honest. I mean, this guy is a redshirt freshman. And eventually we're going to see him. Big kid, 6'5", 225 pounds. I think we're close to getting our next caller, and we'll take it right now. It's Tom from Ohio, wants to talk about Jalen Waddle. Hey, Tom, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for calling in about Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, you got to have him back if you want to win the national title. You ain't going to win the national title without him, in my opinion, anyhow. Have you heard anything? I heard his cast was coming off.
Yeah, that's kind of the word, but, what does that mean exactly besides, just what it means? His cast is coming off. And I'm kind of with you. I think that, this team is, and that's kind of one of my other questions, Tom, to be honest. And I appreciate you calling in, is can this team find that offensive rhythm that they had before Jalen Waddle went out of the season? Because I think you were seeing an electric offense, and then when he went out, it kind of lost a little luster. Now, Alabama is going to be able to fine-tune that, especially being off for so many weeks. But what we know right now, he got his cast off. He's ahead of schedule. But what does that mean? Besides, can he come back at what point during the college football playoffs? I don't know. And would you come back if you're Jalen Waddle? We talked about that on Monday Night Quarterback. This guy got millions, of dollars sitting on the table. I personally think he would come back. He seems like a team-first guy, but he doesn't have to come back.
Yeah, well, I think he will too, and I would too. The reason I'm saying is because he stretches the field. Mac Jones will be thrown into smaller windows. Now, you can beat the rest of these teams, where you're Kentucky. I'm talking about when you're playing Clemson or Ohio State in the playoffs. I mean, you guys can win the rest of your games just running the ball. I'm talking about stretching the field so that your quarterback's got larger windows to throw. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, a good example of that would be against Georgia, right? There was a couple times where Mac Jones was able to connect with Jalen Waddle and boom, touchdown. Who has that kind of boom factor other than Devontae Smith when you look at some of these receivers? Because is it John Mechie? I think he's done a great job and he's stepped up, but does he have that wow factor that Jalen Waddle has? The shorter answer is that he doesn't. What about Slade Bolden? I think he's a very serviceable slot receiver, but he doesn't have that boom factor. Javon Baker, we haven't seen Javon Baker. He's a freshman at Alabama that people want to see more of. So is it just one very talented receiver now on Alabama's roster? John Mechie could certainly answer that, but there's nobody on the roster like Jalen Waddle. I felt, a lot of people talked about this, and you're from Ohio, so you know he's in the area. Rondell Moore, people were saying that he's better than Jalen Waddle. There's no way. Jalen Waddle, most explosive player in the entire country.
Oh, yeah. Like I was saying, I'm not scaring me is when you guys have to go up against Ohio State. With Fields and the receivers he's got, they're going to score points. You guys are going to have to score to beat them. And I think that's where Waddle being out could really hurt you.
Tell me, give me your thoughts on, I mean, we're on with Tom from Ohio. I think everybody wanted to see Ohio State and Maryland. Maryland starting to pick up a little steam under Mike Locksley and Talia Tungavailoa. What's your take on this Ohio State team? They've only played 3 games. They played Penn State, Nebraska, Rutgers. I mean, is this team as good as anticipated? I mean, we all kind of entered this season. Number one, is the Big Ten going to play? Now that they're playing, they've only played 3 games. Kind of what's your take on the Buckeyes? I mean, is this a Final Four type team?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're as good as they were, almost as good as they were last year defensively and offensively. I'd say that might be a little bit better. I mean, their only trouble with the Big Ten is trying to stay away because there's absolutely no team that'll come within 28 points. You're hearing about Indiana this week. Hey, Indiana's improved, but they're still a middle-of-the-road team. So, yeah, Ohio State's that's good. That's the team you got to worry about. Alabama would beat Clemson because Clemson's got a really weak offensive line. I'm telling you, Alabama, worry about Ohio State. I mean, whatever you have to do doctor-wise to get Waddle back, and everyone else keep healthy, too. And I'll tell you something else, too. If you can get a bye without playing LSU, not because you lose to them, what you got to avoid is risking more injuries. Hey, who cares if you beat LSU? You want to win the national title. You see where I'm coming from? You got nothing to gain by playing LSU. Game's canceled, forget it, move on.
Yeah,
I don't know if you agree with that.
No, I think you do. And the kind of the more time that I've thought about that and kind of looking at the schedule, let's say if Alabama continues on their path, they're going to have an extra week to prepare for the SEC championship game. So I think that's what you take. Right. You take the extra preparation. Let me ask you one more thing, Tom, before you go. You're from Ohio. You're clearly you're an Ohio State fan, I would assume.
No, actually, I like Michigan, but
okay. Well, I got this. This is where I was going to go with this. Okay, so I got Jim Harbaugh right now on the screen. I mean, the Michigan Wolverines haven't seen them this bad. I mean, I don't know when. I mean, you would know more than I would. I mean, is this the year that Michigan makes a change at the helm with letting Jim Harbaugh go? And do they need to go another direction?
No, I don't let him go. I don't think they'll let him go. He's got a big buyout, and they got a pretty good recruiting classes coming in. And if you get to cut him loose, you'll probably lose those recruits. So I think he'll definitely be back. They'll just say because of the COVID and the fact there's no fans in the big house, they'll give him a pick. He'll be back next year, I guarantee it.
Okay, and before I let you go, your thoughts on Josh Gaddis as an offensive coordinator, came from Alabama as a wide receivers coach.
I think the jury's still out. The jury's still out on him. But, I kind of give him a thumbs up. I think so, yeah.
All right, Tom. Well, we appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. Hey, save my number anytime you want to talk college football. We'd love a Big Ten affiliate. So you call in and, happy to have you on anytime, and we'll talk college football with you.
Great. Thank you. Okay, thanks for taking my call.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See ya. That was Tom. Rather entertaining call from our good friend, our new friend. I don't think Tom's called in before, and he's out in Ohio. So what do you guys think in the comment box? I mean, is it time for Jim Harbaugh to go? I guess, listening to Tom, I mean, he's got that big buyout. So I guess we'll have to wait and see to what Michigan does. But my goodness, are they struggling up in the Big Ten? And I think, like Tom was saying as well, Ohio State is going to be there. It's hard to say right now because, who have they beaten? But I think Justin Fields, and the offense and what Ryan Day's been able to do with that club, they've been pretty good. And just like John G saying here in the comment box, right? BYU, Liberty, Cincinnati, Louisiana, all those teams unbeaten, right? Louisiana, they're unbeaten, I think, right? Cincinnati, I know is. Liberty and BYU. You think Hugh Freeze is going to go to South Carolina? I don't know. I'm sure they would love for Hugh Freeze to go to South Carolina. All right, friends. Well, thank you so much for the calls. I appreciate it. Kind of a limited edition tonight. It's we'll catch up with you definitely after the game, after Alabama and Kentucky, right here on BAMA Insider. Remember, it's the post-game show after the watch party. I'll be here with Trey Yanity. We'll be hanging out with you guys during Kentucky and Alabama, and then we'll take your calls and we'll talk Alabama Crimson Tide football. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Appreciate our callers who called in, and I think we actually got one more caller that we'll be close to taking, and then we'll wrap it up right here on BamaInsider.com. And just as Sherry's saying, John Harbaugh, not as good as advertised. I had to agree with you, but the thing is, I'm a 49er fan. So when Jim Harbaugh was, with the 49ers, things were rolling. I think, to see kind of the trajectory of the 49ers, got to the Super Bowl. Things were going really well. I like the way things are going now with the Niners, besides the fact that they're, everybody's injured. So I think we got one more caller, and then we'll take it next. All right. Give me 1 second. And I will get to, let's see. We got Coach Green calling as well. Coach Green, what's up? Thanks for joining the show. Appreciate it.
Hey, what's going on, Cal? How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good, man. Thank you so much for joining us, man. You're on the show. What do you want to talk about?
I just wanted to chime in about Bama football. I was listening to the other guys that called in and talking about getting to the playoffs and what could get Bama over the hump. And I would agree in regards to Jalen Waddle. I think you can put Bama in the championship game with him. I think it's questionable without him. When they talk about guys like Allen Iverson, he's like a walking bucket.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jalen was, instant six.
Mm-hmm.
He can match up against anybody and score at any time. So wanted to get that off and talk about, I guess, the Big Ten and all these other conferences, how they're managing the COVID.
Yeah, I think, let's start with Jalen Waddle. I think that, he's the type of player, and I love the Allen Iverson comparison, because he's the type of player that, he just has it. There's certain players that just have it, and he has it clearly. I would love for my NFL team to pick him up, and I think everybody out there would. He's the type of guy that you just get the football to. That's why I'm kind of surprised that he didn't even get the football that much. I know that they had Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs, and there's only so many mouths that you can feed, but he's the type of player that wins you national championships. It's going to be very difficult. There's got to be some guys that step up towards the later part of the season. It's going to be very difficult for Alabama to win the national championship regardless, but not having him is going to make it that much tougher. The timeline of him actually coming back, I guess we'll have to wait and see. There's been talks about prolonging the college football playoffs, which would obviously be a benefit to him getting ready and to him coming back. But you also kind of have to look at the window of the NFL Combine and him getting out there and testing. So, could he come back? Yeah. Will he? We don't know right now. What else kind of when you look at the college football playoff spectrum? Do you believe this Notre Dame team is that good? I watched them. I thought, they're good, but I don't feel that they're elite.
I agree. I think Notre Dame is a really solid team, but you don't see the athletes that flash like, Ohio State and Bama and the SEC guys. They got some guys that, can go get it. But defensively, obviously it's a solid defensive team. They play a lot of zone. I don't think they can match up, against the Floridas, LSU, Alabama, because we got, the guys can go one-on-one, can match up a whole lot better. In regards to Jalen, I think he's a top 10 pick, man. And everyone's, kind of kicking that around. Should he come back? Should he stay? I think he needs a little bit more film. Obviously, he had a lot of film in regards to the return game last year. And you could see the potential, and he's a great athlete. I would love for him to get a little bit more film out there for the NFL guys, because he didn't start last year. You know, he played a lot of special teams, and he came in and lit it up for the first 4 or 5 games. So, I mean, the NFL guys know what they got, but I would love to see him get a little bit more on film. But it's going to be hard to turn down, you know, $10, $20, $30 million for this kid.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. What about any thoughts about this coming game this weekend? I mean, I think a lot of people just kind of already overlooking Kentucky, Alabama, 31-point favorite. Listen to Stoops on Monday. It was really the first time I got to hear an opportunity for him talking about his team. And I don't know. I like the direction of, you know, where it's a tough program. And, you know, considering what he has, I think he's done, you know, a mildly good job. What's your kind of take on this weekend's game?
I think Bama wins big just because they have that style of offense that, you know, it's not the hurry up, you know, pass first offense, which Alabama struggles with. You know, you try to grind and pound Alabama and pro style, you know, kind of pick them apart. You know, that doesn't work. You got to have a dynamic quarterback to beat Alabama. And I don't see Kentucky doing it. Obviously, they don't have the Jimmys and Joes that Alabama have. So, you know, I think it'll start out, you know, obviously Bama's probably rusty. They've been off 2 weeks. Kentucky's, you know, they played the previous week. So I can see going into the mid-second quarter, Bama start running away with it.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think Alabama will put it on Kentucky. Any final thought? Anything else where you want to get on while you're on the show, Coach?
Not really. Just, you know, I think Bama can win it all. I think it's up in the air for real.
Yeah.
I think there's probably 3 or 4 teams, Bama, Ohio State. Obviously, you know, we don't know who they really are because they haven't played anybody. Clemson, they've got a lot of injuries. Bama's probably, you know, the leading front runner right now because we've been the most solid. We're stable. Everyone's been healthy outside of Waddle. I think Florida, obviously, just dark horse, and then Notre Dame. You can't keep them out of it because if they continue winning, you know, I think it's kind of open this year, man. Until we get to the latter end of the schedule, where you know, if you're not as consistent, you start losing at the end of it. We'll be able to determine more. But right now, I think it's kind of wide open with, you know, Bama being the front runner right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Coach Green. I really appreciate you joining us. Back-to-back callers from Ohio. So how about that? I think that's pretty cool. And, you know, call in anytime. Please save the call-in line number and feel free to join us anytime. We really appreciate the dialogue.
Will do, man. Take care.
All right.
God bless.
All right. Take it easy. God bless you too, man. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hey, how about that? What's up, Sherry? Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. You know, it's kind of interesting. You know, I don't really do this for the super chats. You know, I've really been blessed, but the super chats go a long way to support, you know, Bama Insider and the staff. I own Bama Insider. So, you know, like super chats to me are great and I really appreciate it, but I don't take the super chats. I put them back to the staff. I make sure that Trey Yanity is taken care of. I make sure that Tony Sukalis is taken care of. I make sure that Andrew Bone is taken care of. I make sure that Mick Gillespie is taken care of. I make sure all my staff is taken care of first because they make a Bama Insider. So, you know, the super chat, sincerely appreciate it. You know, I look at other chats, like, for example, warchant.com, it covers Florida State. They make an average $800 per super chat. All right. So it's pretty amazing, you know, the different sites out there. The Auburn site, the Auburn publisher, like me, makes $1,000 per show. So it's not about the super chats. Super chats are great, but I'm here. I'm the godfather. When you look at all the other shows that have been taking place, I'm helping other people build up their brands. And I definitely want to continue to mentor other people, especially the younger people out there. I love kind of that mentoring aspect and helping people grow and fine tune on their craft and working with people that want to be the best because, you know, I've met, there's been some people even behind the scenes. For example, John behind the scenes. Thank you, John G. I appreciate the super chat, man. That are helping me out tonight, you know. So a lot goes into it, and I really appreciate it. But for me, the super chats, they all go back to the staff, and I always appreciate it, man. But you know, all super chats back to staff. So thank you, Sherry, and thank you, John, so much for the super chats tonight. Hey, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. Be good people, be blessed, be thankful for what you have. Never a bad time to call up a loved one. Special thanks to the men and women overseas protecting this great country. Such a great country to be a part of. And, appreciate all the men and service women overseas protecting our freedom. We'll be back tomorrow. Andrew Bone and Mick Gillespie together with a new show. And then on Friday night, we got the Bama Insider Tailgate Show. All that and more right here at BamaInsider.com. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson, BamaInsider.com. Good night, everyone.